Hi everyone, welcome to another mindset call. So this week we're going to be looking into the preservations of our profits. Really big topic. And especially after last week, I know some of us have had quite a hard time and felt like we needed to go back into basics. So I'm here just to give you a bit of guidance in just understanding what's happening to our brains psychologically when we get into a winning streak, and then have that loss that might take us into a different dynamic, which has probably happened to a lot of us. And it's just a good thing to understand how your brain functions, because essentially we are in control of exactly what it's doing, but just due to temptations, different desires, desperations, and our egos being so high, it can definitely change that dynamic. And I want to bring us back down to basics, back down, grounding us so we get back into our consistency. Okay, so let's say, for example, we have now done 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 long runs of winning trades. Now, as great as this is, we tend to lose our rules over that time, and our ego starts to increase. So our realistic state starts to drop and our ego starts to rise. Now, the ego is super dangerous here because the ego is telling us all the things that we don't want to hear. The ego makes us feel very powerful. It makes us feel more superior, and it leads us down the wrong path into potential risks, especially risks that we may have experienced before. And every single time, the ego always feels like it's right. No matter how many times you've been in this phase before, the ego makes you feel like it's okay this time around. So how do we kind of understand that and notice that? It's very good to know what our ego tells us. Now, I've just written a few things down that can help us, maybe things that you've experienced or are going to experience, especially if you're a beginner. This is good to know and prepare for this moment, because sometimes you don't even realize you're in that state. So your ego tells you you're doing so well. Let's increase your lot size. Let's make more money. Let's make more money faster. This is a big no-no, because it doesn't matter how many times that you've won. What's more important is that you stay consistent with that lot size. If your ego is telling you to double it, to triple it, to quadruple it, what could happen in that state? You might get a loss, and that will make things risk everything that you've worked for over those last winning profits. So make sure that that lot size stays exactly where it is, or you may want to reduce it to preserve those profits, which is a very good technique, very good strategy to keep on board with. Your ego starts to tell you you're at 100% winning rate. So what does that mean? That means your ego is telling you you will never lose, and you'll get into that state where you expect to never lose. You have now a high expectation of yourself because you've done so well the last winning profits, and now a loss is inevitable. Now, this is very dangerous again, because to be a trader, you have to accept that you will incur losses now and again. And the better that you start trading, the less losses that you have, but also with that risk management in place and those rules, those losses will not affect your profits over a long-term span. So just remember that your brain, your ego telling you that you're at 100% winning rate, it's absolutely false. I've been there. I know what that feels like. And it's happened actually good 4 or 5 times in my case, because of finding maybe strategies that's worked really well. But please do remember to always manage that risk when that ego starts flying out of control. Another thing that can happen, your brain starts to tell you you don't really need to work as much anymore in your other job. Potentially you might have a self-employment, or you have a small hustle business on the side. And your idea for the future is that you want trading to cover and replace that potentially. Now, if you're at a winning streak and then your brain starts to tell you, actually, you don't need to work as much as you used to, that's a big no-no, because what you want to do is know that you are consistent for a good few years. You want to know that your trading journey is actually matching that hustle or matching that full-time salary. When you get to that stage, then you can make decisions like that. Very big decisions. But for now, make sure that you understand it's your ego that's telling you to stay, to relax, that trading is going to take over things. Just because you've won for 6 times, it doesn't mean that you're in the place to potentially be a full-time trader, especially at your beginning stages. So bear that in mind when the ego comes through. So another one, withdrawing all your profits. Now, I've not withdrawn any money ever since I've started trading. And the reason being is because my idea of trading is that I want to become a better executor. I want to master my executions in my chart. And the more profits, the better this is. But it doesn't mean that I can take that away from my capital and start spending it, because then I'm now thinking I am at a win-win constantly and withdrawing that profit and not making much progress in the long run. It might be short-term progress, which is great, but if my idea is that I want to be a better trader overall, I want to make sure that those profits are still in hand and that they will be used in a good way and in an investment way for the long run. Now, something that I've done before, which I have mentioned a few times on our Discord chat, is that when I have made some profits, I've now taken that out and put it into another account. So let's say with Vantage, you can open up another account. So for example, if I've made, let's say, £100 in a week, I may take £50 out of that account and place it in another account, because at the time, psychologically, I knew that my ego would come into play and say, you have £100 extra, which means that you can increase everything. You can increase your lot size and you can increase your stop loss. And that was very difficult for me in that psychological kind of phase. And so in order to prevent that, I would always take some money out, put it to the side, know that that's safe. And then I would obviously have that extra profit, but psychologically, I wouldn't be telling myself that I won 100. I'd be telling myself I'd won 50. Sometimes, just sometimes, I would take all profits out and put it into another account. So then my brain understands that I'm still at my capital. I'm still at the original capital. So I'm still working as hard as I did just before those profits. So that could be a small little tip that you might want to use, but please don't use that all throughout your whole journey, because it might just work in some cases or in some phases. So think about how your ego mind is working and what's it saying to you. Is it raging at you? Is it making you feel more superior than you really are in your journey? Is it telling you to stop education because you are now the prime master of trading and it's only been 2 months? Really work out what your ego is doing and if it's your ego mind or if it's your realistic state. So a healthy mind without that ego coming into play will always stay consistent and it'll always be healthy for your well-being. So as an example, it will always tell you to keep reducing your lot size if you feel that you've had a nice winning streak, you've almost reached your targets, possibly close enough, and now it's telling you to be safe. Stay in the safe zone. Don't feel like you need to up your lot size. Also, don't feel like you need to keep the same lot size. Maybe reduce it just in case this time it's a loss. You'll know that you'll lose a little bit less and also much less than the profits that you have made. So your healthy mindset will always keep you at that safe zone. It will always be thinking about protecting yourself. And it will also tell you to keep educating, keep studying. So it might be that for that day, you might have reached your daily targets and it will say, you know what, I'm going to go back to basics on my studying. I'm just going to keep revisiting the same thing. Practice, practice, practice makes perfection over the long run. Obviously not perfect, but you know what I mean. So it will also allow you to reflect on your progress. It's always good to reflect even when you're at winning streaks, because reflection will always make improvements. You will always learn new things about yourself. You'll always find new things on your analysis and on your charts. And overall, you'll just become a better trader, which is exactly what we want to be doing. A healthy mindset during winning streaks will also tell you that anything can happen at any time. So it also means that when you have a trade on, you are accepting that TP and you are also accepting that stop loss. You are accepting that that trade might go straight into a stop loss, and you are accepting that trade might also fluctuate for hours. So be very patient. Know that your healthy mindset will keep you at a distance and detached from that trade emotionally. Okay, so healthy mindset all the way around. So I've mentioned the word safe zone, and what I mean by that is just your preservations of profit and protecting yourself from making any mistakes. So our safe zone can make us change our dynamics quite a bit emotionally, mentally. So it can sometimes make you feel like you're being super impatient, that you're stagnant, because the idea is that you want to make £200 a day, but because the market isn't going the way you want it to, it's only giving you £50 maybe on a Monday, £100 maybe on a Tuesday. So it starts to make you feel a bit frustrated and like you're not reaching your targets. But being in that safe zone and protecting what you have, keeping that lot size a little bit smaller, reducing it, and keeping your SL at very healthy risk management is so important. And on the long run, it will always help you and benefit you. It can definitely make you start doubting whether if you're doing it right. It can also make you regret, because sometimes if you have reduced that lot size and that went into a lovely win, but it's only giving you half of what you'd normally make, now that can definitely make you feel regretful and also make you feel like you want a revenge trade after, because you're now thinking, well, that went really well, even though I was trying to be protective of my profits. So I'm just going to do another trade and do a bit higher in our lot size. Just be mindful of that ego mind when it comes into that place whilst you're in the safe zone. That considering that is giving you rebellious behavior. So watch out for those behaviors, almost like a tantrum that you might be throwing because you wanted more profit and you reduced your lot size and you're just a bit frustrated with yourself. Ignore these signs, ignore these thought processes. They're not going to help you in any way. Your ego starts to grow in a safe zone. So also learn how to diminish it, restrict it, walk away from your ego thoughts, walk away and do things that work for you, that nurture you, that give you a little bit of self-care, especially words of affirmation. You can sit there saying the same thing over and over again as a positive outline, and it will help reduce the ego that's chatting away in the back of your head. And stagnant, as I've mentioned before, like it can feel like you're just not really doing much, that you're a bit of a pause, and it might feel like that you want to earn a lot of money every single day, but just remember that the charts will play differently every day. Even if it looks like candles are creating the same patterns, just be mindful that anything can happen and staying in that healthy mindset. I will have all of this written down for you and put into our mindset section. I'm also going to write up benefits of the preservations of profits on a short-term basis and a long-term basis. So you can see where you fit into right now at your stage of trading, see what you need to do, what you need to let go of, and what you need to maintain. So I hope this information's helped, and I will be back with some more information throughout the week. And I wish you a wonderful evening ahead. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.